Season is back, and it's time for the Southeast Division picks and predictions right now. Thanks everyone for joining. It's Matt from GrandstandBetters.com. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We're giving all of our picks and predictions for the upcoming season and free plays throughout the season. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Join us here at Grandstand Betters. And without further ado, let's dive deep into the Southeast Division. So coming in at number 5, we're going to predict that the Orlando Magic are going to be in last place in this division. To be quite honest, they were 33-40 last year. They got into the bubble. They made it into the playoffs. They lost in the first round, 4-1 to the Milwaukee Bucks. They actually won that first game of the series. They looked like there could be an upset brewing, but the Bucks were just too much, and they swept the next 4 games. I'm going to tell you right now, the Orlando Magic have kind of pissed me off for the last 6 years. They've been on the verge of being a really good team. This year they have added Cole Anthony with the number 15 pick. He had some injury issues at North Carolina, but he is a good player. He's an ISO player. He's made for college basketball. I'm not sure how that is going to transition into the NBA, and he probably doesn't have too many high expectations. He is going to probably come off the bench to start. Now, they did lose Isaac and DJ Augustin. If you watched our preview of the Central Division, you know DJ Augustin has moved into that division. That's a big loss, but Isaac is actually probably the bigger loss. Who's going to play the small forward position? That's a big question for the Orlando Magic this year. They do have, though, some core guys that are very young. They have Gordon, Evan Fournier, Vucevic, and Fultz. Adam Gordon has not become the player that I wanted him to become when he came into this league. He's an elite player if he can play that way. But he's kind of just been mediocre, and he was the player I thought was going to take this team to the next level, become a 4 or 5 seed in the East. He just hasn't done that yet. Fournier, he's quietly requesting a trade off this team, and to be honest, he's got an expiring contract, so management might actually just give him what he wants. Vucevic, he's the guy I feel sorry for on this team. He's an elite player, and if this team does anything this year, he's going to be the one that takes him there. He's 20-10 every night, so he is their main all-star and what their team is going to revolve around. And lastly, Fultz. So they drafted Cole Anthony, who's going to be the backup to Fultz. But to be honest with you, if Cole Anthony plays well and the trade deadline comes and they're ready to blow up their team, he'll probably start, 30, 40 games into the season, and they'll get rid of Fultz because he also has an expiring contract as well. Really, the outlook I look at the Orlando Magic this year is they've been on the verge the last 3 or 4 years to diving into the playoffs. They finally broke through. They got a little luck, I think, because of the bubble last year. But they kind of need to mini rebuild, and when the trade deadline comes, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to get rid of some of these expiring contracts. They're going to bring in some role players, bring in some more depth. And like I said, they're all under 25, they're core players, and they'll grow. I don't see them competing, though, for the next 3 or 4 years. So they're going to be last, but just above them, and it's going to be close, is the Charlotte Hornets. Charlotte Hornets last year is 23-42. They didn't make the postseason, but they hit the jackpot. I don't know why 2 different teams overlooked LeMelo Ball. He's played professionally, but with the 3rd pick, the Charlotte Hornets took LeMelo Ball, and he's going to be an all-star. This guy's a ball handler. He's going to be able to pass to Rozier and Graham. Also, they got a great free agent in Gordon Hayward this year out of Boston. Hayward hasn't lived up to what his hype was when he came into Boston, but I'm going to give him a pass. He had that awful injury, but he brings veteran leadership to a young team here. Speaking of young, their core players, Washington, Zeller, Bridges, Monk, and Biyombo, those guys 28 and younger. So just kind of like the Orlando Magic, they have a young core, and it is promising. These guys, similar to the Magic, have been on the bubble. They've been in the 9th, 10th seed for the last couple years. LeMelo may be able to bring him into that 8th seed, but it's going to be hard. They're just too young, and you really don't know what you're going to get with LeMelo. The team will be better, but I don't see them competing again for probably another couple years. LeMelo will be Rookie of the Year, and it's going to be a runaway. We did mention in our Central Division, the Pistons got a Killian Hayes out of Germany, the 19-year-old. The guy's great, but LeMelo's going to win this award hands down just because he's going to be able to start and mesh with the team right away. So Charlotte Hornets are going to be number 4 in the Southeast Division. Right above the Hornets. And a lot of people are going to disagree here, but the Washington Wizards made the biggest splash this offseason. Last year they were 25-47, missed the postseason even though they came into the bubble. But the question was, how are they going to make a splash and maybe take a step forward? Well, they did that by getting Russel Westbrook. He's a career 28, 8, and 7 guy. I don't need to talk about Russel Westbrook. They gave up John Wall in that trade. John Wall and Bradley Beal have not done what we thought they were going to do for the past decade. To be honest with you, their roster's pretty well in depth. They have Hachawara. Not sure if I said that right. He learned how to be a ball handler in the bubble. He is a good first option if he needs to be. Burton's 15-5 guy. Also, they got Robin Lopez, who's a veteran, and he brings depth to the team, and that's really what they need on this team. The question here is, where are the rebounds going to come from? There's not really a true rebounder, like kind of an Andre Drummond for the Cavs or somebody like that on this team, and I think that's why they are going to actually not do as good as you would think. The other thing with Russel Westbrook is he has just been totally not a team player in the past, and we'll see how that message. With that said, Russel Westbrook could probably take this team to the playoffs by himself. And that's why I got him here at the 3rd spot in this division. He's going to be able to get them wins. He's going to have triple-doubles. He might have to have a triple-double for them to make the playoffs. But the Washington Wizards are going to be in the 3rd spot. I know that's going to go against the grain. A lot of people are going to think that puts them in 1 or 2 in this division. I just don't see it that way. In the 2 spot, who I do see, another team who made so many moves is the Atlanta Hawks. They were 20-47 last year, and they missed the postseason easily. And I'm going to tell you, they opened up their wallets. They didn't go for trades. They went straight to their wallet and handed people cash. And you know what? Cash is cow in the league sometimes. They went out and got free agents Chris Dunn, who's a great depth acquisition. This guy is an elite on-the-ball defender. He's going to guard the best opposition's player. They also went out and got Gallinari, who's an 18-5 forward. He's 40% from 3. That's only going to spread the floor more for these guys. Rondo, everybody knows Rajon Rondo, coming from the Lakers. You know, he's a veteran, and I think that's why they got him. He brings veteran leadership, and he's going to be able to handle the ball and fit in with a multitude of different lineups here. And lastly, they got Bogdanovic, and I'm going to tell you, that deal through the Bucks fell through, and Atlanta jumped on it, and they really became winners here, getting Bogdanovic, 15-5 guy. He is a clutch shooter, and that is another nice thing to have with Trae Young. Now, the only thing with him is he's not a free throw shooter. I have a problem with that. I don't like people who can't hit their free throws. I think he's like 71% he's dropped to. If he could get that up to 85, this guy would be probably a top 7 player in the league in my mind. Now, they did lose a couple people. Vince Carter finally retired. It seems like he's been in the league since I was 5 years old. Also, Jeff Teague left. That's a big loss, but I'm going to tell you, they opened their wallet enough. I think they've covered Jeff Teague. Carter wasn't really much to get to fill in the blanks with. Trae Young, superstar, we all know him. Him and Luka Doncic have become the face of the young stars in the NBA. Trae Young now has some talent around him, some depth to go along with Capella, Collins, and Reddish. You add all that talent, and I think they're much better than the Washington Wizards. They're probably going to be like around a 5-4 seed in the East. We'll see. Trae Young's something special, and I know there's been some question marks on this team if the depth or the second string can hold their own, especially defensively. But you bring in Dunn with his defense, Gallinari, Rondo, and Bogdanovic, and I'm going to tell you, I think they're going to be okay. They're going to shoot up here, I think, to the 2nd spot in this division, only trailing the number 1 and the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat. What a surprise the Heat were to make it to the finals last year where they lost to the Lakers. They got veterans this year. That's what they wanted. That's what they needed to probably get them a little bit better. Personally, I don't think the Heat got any better. They kind of stayed the same this year, but I'm going to say that just staying the same is better than everybody else in the division. They did have a couple veteran adds, like I mentioned. Mo Harkless, he's a great multifaceted position player. He can play wherever. He blocks shots. He'll play above the rim. He spreads the floor, and that's kind of what the Heat need to open up their three opportunities. And Avery Bradley, this guy, two-time all-defensive NBA player, he's great, and he can fit in and start now in the backcourt to help them out. They did get rid of Crowder and DJ Jr. Defensively, that is a loss. But like I said, Mo Harkless coming in, and Avery Bradley being a two-time all-defensive player kind of helps the loss of those two guys. They re-signed Gordon Dragic and Myers Leonard, and that's two scorers and ball handlers that can be counted upon. And then they drafted out of Memphis this big man, really good draft pick in our mind, Precious Anawa. Achua. Very, very interesting name, but he was a good player in Memphis, and he looks to add to the depth they have with Bam Adebayo, Haslem, Butler, Kelly, all the guys. It's going to be a good year for the Heat. They were good enough to probably beat all the other teams in this division and end up in first place. Without the addition of Harkless and Bradley, those guys have just solidified their spot here at the top. I'm going to say it's going to be probably not a value bet to take the Heat for a repeat in the Eastern Conference. They're going to be probably the 2 seed or 3 seed in this conference, and definitely the 1 spot in the division. They seem to have gotten better on paper. I don't think they've gotten that much better, but the division that they work with is just so far behind them right now with your young guns in Orlando and in Charlotte that they're going to win the division hands down pretty easily. That's it for the Southeast Division. Just a quick recap. Orlando Magic finishing last. Then above them you have the Hornets, the Wizards, the Hawks, and the Heat. Put in the comments below if you actually think that the Wizards could be higher than 3 with the addition of Russell Westbrook. We really don't think they can be, but who knows? That's why we play the games. And that's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. Make sure you click the next video for the next division, and you want to see the NBA 2021 preview coming out very soon that gives us the rundown of all 32 teams and who's going to make the playoffs. So without any more grandstanding, if you will, sit back, relax, always let us do the work while you always do the winning.